not an actual piece of legislation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it would be very, very helpful if we understood better the process of what this is intended to do. It seems to me that we as a caucus are coming up with resolutions of things we want to propose, that we are going to say, this is what we believe in, and we're going to ask the legislature to do. Is that correct? Can you
Yeah.
describe for me the process of what we're trying to accomplish?
Okay, these resolutions will guide us in supporting or being against bills that are introduced by the legislature.
Okay. So this one is to ask them to bring one up, and then another one may be, we'll support this bill because this is one of our
Or-
resolutions that passed.
Or modify, or change, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, this is the whereases, and so it's just written in resolution form. It's not the actual language, although the prohibits any government agency from burdening a person's free exercise. That's the core piece of the language that would be used in the constitutional amendment. That's already in our statute level here in Texas, as in the other states, as the federal government has as a law as well. So,
I'm Melanie DeMeo with NRN. Regarding your comment on Sharia law, I was just wondering if you could clarify what your fears are behind that. I think we could address it better if we knew what, the fear is behind your excellent point.
Give her the mic there.
I think I was just kind of taking, actually, my name is Linda Lineweaver, and I'm with Waco Tea Party. And I heard what you said about unintended consequences, and it kind of made me think of that. And we have several other states that have already done this.
Put down your iPad.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. You're a genius. Okay, that's where the feedback came from. Anyway, I just was curious, in your research, which I assume you must have because you're saying that other states have this, have they had an unintended consequence of creating something with Sharia law, or for that matter, any other foreign law, United Nations law, any other law that could say this is the exercise of free religion? Sharia came to me because of the religious aspect of it. And I want to make sure that we're not asking our legislature to do something that's going to create a monster.
Okay, let's stay on. Did that answer your question?
No, partly, because in order to address this fully, then I think we need to have an understanding of how we can craft this resolution so that somehow we're going to be allowing, the exercise of religious freedoms, but we need to be able to make sure that Sharia law isn't allowed.
Exercise of religious freedoms, not religious laws.
Right, and I think
Okay.
I think you could maybe introduce another resolution to cover UN law, Sharia law, whatever.
Could we do it that way?
Would be easier.
I know there's
Mhm.
some groups, Texas Eagle Forum. There's a number of groups that are working on the Sharia law issue. I would say that's probably a separate issue that if folks wanted to have a resolution specific to that.
But shouldn't it go hand in hand with this, though?
No.
No,
It should
No,
not.
I wouldn't think so. It'd be totally separate because that way you could cover more bases.
And I've actually got a handout here that I failed to mention earlier that it's got some more information for anyone that wants a copy of it. I'll leave those here. It just has more information about the specific states that already have it, and some of the legal scholars like Kelly Shackelford, who obviously have worked on this and crafted the language.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Gaspar. I'm from Buda, Texas. I'm a service member who served in over 4 years of combat tours in Iraq and have experienced and seen Sharia law as well as other religious radicals in action. I have fought and defended against this and will continue to fight and against this for the rest of my life. To bring some idea of what and how Sharia law works, it absolutely imposes your freedom of life and the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I may suggest that you put in some wording that says, although religiously you have the right for religious freedoms, you do not have the right to end other freedoms, such as your right to life or your right to existence or harming another person. There's also other consequences, and I'll take a very extremist group, which is very rarely recognized, and that is Satanism, with animal cruelty and animal slaughter. And so you might want to consider that you put in amendments that the right to life is also a freedom that must not be overseen or superseded by this amendment. Thank you.
Bob Green, Austin, Texas. What I was concerned about is we've heard in the news on a couple of occasions where judges have actually taken into account Sharia considerations, and we need something that is going to say that those Sharia considerations can never supersede either federal, state, or local laws. They have to be subjected to the law, the civil law, before those considerations can be taken into account. So I was concerned about that, about bringing in something and letting it morph into religious liberty, morphing into religious dogma, religious mantras, etc., that would be in conflict with our own civil law. So I think that's a very important aspect. The other thing that I was going to mention is I am not 100% sure about the state constitution, but I know for a fact that separation of church and state is not in the United States Constitution. I don't imagine that it's in the Texas Constitution as well. But I don't know if you wanted to put in something like that in there, whereas separation of church and state is not a consideration in the Texas Constitution and the United States Constitution. Just a thought.
Okay, what I would like to propose is that maybe during one of the breaks, we are going to consider, from what I understand, other resolutions to be added to our list. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that if you oppose Sharia law, you oppose the UN, you oppose whatever, whatever law that or body that you feel has some sort of other legal, or like Sharia law becoming would be taking over over and being used against our Constitution, that we propose a special resolution for that, and that we maybe vote on this resolution, and then we can change the wording real quick and either accept it or pass it or not.
Also, these amendments or these resolutions that we're going to be passing here today, they will go through another cleaning process with the state. So keep that in mind. Not that it would change your feeling on anything, but it'll go through another